Show, the podcast you didn't know you needed. Real talk, bold truth, her voice, her vision, her rules. Let's get into it. Well, it's a new... Let me talk again. Can I just go into it?
Yeah.
Okay. New week, new guests. Welcome to Her Opinion Show. I have with me Nini Gutierrez. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of
Glad to be here.
course.
I've heard so many great things about you. So Nushin has talked great things about you.
Thank
So
you
I
so
can't
much.
wait to get into this interview with you.
Awesome, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So today we're talking something that a lot of people, I'm sure it's crossed their mind at some point, or they've thought about, but they don't realize that maybe it's attainable, I think. So we're talking about nonprofits and grant writing. And so the topic of today is power, paper, and purpose, the Latina behind the money moves and nonprofit.
All right.
Love that.
Yes.
All right.
The
So,
Latina.
the Latina.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about you. Like, where are you from?
Yeah, so I was raised here in Houston. My parents are Colombian. I know. I have been in the nonprofit, ecosystem for about 11 years. I actually have a master's in nonprofit management.
Okay.
So,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, it is a thing. It is a thing because there's so many people that really want to get into nonprofits. It could be that they're starting a nonprofit or they want to work for large nonprofits, right? So I saw the opportunity. I had to pivot. So obviously, this is not my degree. My bachelor's is not in any of this. I actually have a bachelor's in communications.
Kind of goes hand in hand, though. It
Well,
kind of goes a little bit because you got to communicate.
Yeah, and I have a minor in psychology. So kind of like I learned a lot about the communication and the mindset and stuff of people. But I was in finance and banking for almost 10 years. You know, it was the first thing I could do right out of high school. And I learned so much and went through to school. I had to work. So I had to work. I had to help my mom and pay for myself. And so I did commuter college at UHD. Go Gators, not Cougars. I know, right? But luckily I was able to do that, get my degree, and then I got stuck in the banking world. It's so easy to get stuck in the banking world, and so I was
Like
like,
cooking, baking?
no banking.
No,
Oh,
banking.
banking. Sorry.
Like financial institutions, and you get stuck in there. It's hard to get out, and then I had to pivot. I said, what am I gonna do? So I was like, I want to work with the community. I'm from A-Leaf. And so I was raised in a really diverse community. There's a lot of need there. And so I was like, I want to work with the community. I know that for sure. What can I do? And then I got a little pamphlet from UHD and they had just started the program. So I went into nonprofits full force.
Full force. So a lot of people, when they think nonprofit, sometimes they think there's no money in it. I mean, especially in law, right?
They
When
think
say pro
nonprofit.
bono,
Yeah.
when your kid goes to Ivy League and then says, I want to work in law pro bono. What?
I know.
But they think that, and but you see a lot of nonprofits that do have a budget and do have payroll, and people are getting paid.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that's not our nonprofit. So if you're
Not yet. Not yet.
Right now you're on volunteer basis.
Yes.
But everybody wants to be there, right?
Yeah, of
Everybody
course.
wants to be able to work full time for their own nonprofit.
For sure. And I think it's really important whenever you're thinking of starting one, first you got to start with the good governance board, right? And then seeing people who's willing to help and support volunteer basis,
Right.
Yeah.
and financially. What kind of input they're going to do financially, but creating a budget, like create that budget for you to have an admin and you're paying them, or you're having somebody for communications and marketing and you're paying them, or just this, the founder CEO and you're paying them. And so creating a budget is really important. And people are like, but you're nonprofit, you can't make profit, you can't pay yourself. Yes, you can. You don't make profit, but you're gonna pay yourself. You're gonna cover programming, and you're gonna cover up indirect costs, office space, basic things that you're gonna need to run.
What do you feel is like the most difficult thing of a nonprofit? Maybe creating the board?
The funding though.
The
Finding
funding?
funding,
Yeah.
because a lot of people want to do nonprofits and, for right or wrong reasons, for tax breaks and tax purposes and that, of course. And because there is a lot of funding opportunity when you have the nonprofit, that 501c3 status, but also because people have this passion and they really want to work with the community. But there's so many others doing the same thing. So everybody has to, apply for these same grants, apply for the same opportunities. So it is a little difficult. For funding is one of the biggest.
Can I ask something maybe off record?
Mhm.
So with these grants, a lot of times people feel like you have like a leg up if you know somebody who's going to accept the grant, things like that. Is that the case?
Well, off record.
Off
Relationship
record.
building is a very big part of just having a nonprofit and getting funding. Because yes, you are stewarding donors.
When you say know somebody, would you say in your city?
Yeah, in your city, nationally, globally, relationship building in general. So you got to look at it. There's different pockets of money. You got to as a nonprofit. I always tell everybody, diversify your funding streams, like where you're getting funding. So you can have individual donors, you have foundations, you have private, you have public government grants. So there's different relationships you have with each of these, funding streams. So yes, it does make a difference, because if you have a really great relationship with somebody that is
And
a giver.
and anytime you have a gem to spit, speak it to the
Yes.
camera.
Oh,
So
okay.
that way,
Stay right there in
yeah,
the
stay
front.
right there.
All right.
So that
So
way, yes.
diversify your funding. Make sure as a nonprofit, if you're going to get into a nonprofit, diversify your funding streams. Yes.
How do
very
you
important.
diversify it? Give us a little tip.
Yeah, so like I'm saying, like if you have individual donors, or if you have foundations that, are giving, if you have private, so private would be corporations, and then obviously government grants or public grants, that's another. So those are different funding streams that you can have. So like, for instance, if one gets cut, or they reduce their funding, like right now, a lot of the private ones are, we don't know where we're going, what's happening, let's cut back a little bit. At least, maybe some of your donors are doing well, and they're still gonna, so you gotta steward these relationships, especially on the individual donors, especially in a city like Houston. And I would say
Yeah.
there's a lot of money, and there's a lot of people that want to give, and give back. Mm.
So with nonprofits, not taking away from the grant side, but with nonprofits, when you get into obviously we know with nonprofits, nobody wants to, but you have to kind of beg for money. You have to beg people for donations and things like that. That's probably the worst part about.
But let's not say beg.
Okay.
Okay.
We have to
You have to
ask.
convince them.
We have to
We have to convince them that
convince
what
them.
you are doing, they align with what you're doing,
Yes.
And then that they
there's
want
an
to give.
impact.
And a
Okay.
lot of people do have that intention and
Yes.
that feeling.
Right.
It's how much?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like
It's the 100 or the 1,000.
yeah,
I
exactly.
know, yeah.
But when you
Exactly.
get in, so what do you suggest in a nonprofit? Because it's not everybody that comes in is not good at that, right? Everybody that comes in might not have the network space to be able to go and pitch for that funding. So do nonprofits hire people, or do they pay commissions for people that are bringing in the money?
So yeah, so depending on the size of the nonprofit, but let's say more established ones, especially around here, like that are already established, they have a development person. They have somebody that is stewarding the donors, that they are relationship building, that they are online. There are platforms online that you have to pay for, so that you get weekly alerts on grant opportunities. So that person, you're paying for that, so that's a cost, and then you're paying for the person to be able to write the grants, right? To create your narratives for your organization, to have the budgets ready. So I tell people, you have to, I always, whenever I talk about the subject, I would say you have to have a folder with all your go-tos, your program narratives, your budgets, like what is your impact report, and those are things that are very important. So it's not your relationship building, but you also have the documents and things to pack back that
Well,
up.
that's on the grant side, but what about someone who's going to businesses?
To business is the same thing, because
So
you're
you-
They're
creating
gonna ask
relationships.
that
They're
too.
gonna there's
But
a ask.
is it okay in a nonprofit to pay that person
For sure,
commissions?
there's a
Okay.
development officer. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can have a
Because
development
it entices
officer.
to have
Yes.
somebody come in
Yeah,
and
and
help.
they
An
could be corporate
incentive.
Yeah.
relations. They could be corporate relations manager. There could be donor relations, development. All of that falls under the
And that
grant
seems
and
more that
receiving money.
Yeah.
and that seems obviously when there's no budget there, or you don't have the funds to pay to do payroll,
Yeah.
then that is something that you can do, right, to offer the commission, so that way they
Yes.
don't feel like they're working for free,
For
especially
sure.
when they're the person bringing all the money in.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the board seats too.
Yeah.
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 So just a question. So these people that are going to be calling some of the corporate people, who should they reach out to first?
Yeah, there's always like the corporate relations, corporate social responsibility person on these corporations, the community developers and the banks, most of them. And those are the ones that are really going to be community liaisons, community engagement, some of them like that. And then you're always going to look at corporate. So if it's like a, large corporation, you got to go see who's the region. Because remember, some of these places are global
Mhm.
or national. So who is here in the Houston region? And there might be a couple of them. So you make sure you're looking in the region.
Got to see where they're at.
You got to see what they're, and you got to
Go buy them a
network.
drink.
So
Yeah.
for the small nonprofits out there, networking and relationship building, right? Because you're going to be going out there to these networking events with corporations, right? And you'll be able to get connected and see who's out there and start, stewarding them, getting, relationships built
Mhm.
with that. Yeah. And then talking about the work you're doing as a nonprofit, which is the
That's
most
right.
important because,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
storytelling is where how you can get some funding.
Yes, of course, and speak with a passion
Yeah.
about it.
Exactly.
Believe what you're saying,
Yeah.
right?
Believe your product. It's like in sales.
Yeah.
You believe your product, then you're gonna be able to sell it without even selling it.
Yeah.
So, you also do great things with where you're working.
Yes.
So, tell us a little bit about where you're at now after moving and transitioning
Yes.
into the nonprofit world
Yes.
and what kind of stuff you're doing
Yes.
there.
So I'm currently at BakerRipley. We are one of the largest. We've been around 115 years in the greater Houston area. We're a community development organization providing holistic services to families from zero to seniors. And on my role, I'm the director of the small business program. So I am on the program side. But I work closely with our development and our marketing team to be able to, get funding. So I do lots of program development, being able to create programs for entrepreneurs, financial empowerment, economic opportunity, seeing what the need is in the community. Because, we got to be out there in the community, seeing what our community needs. And so then creating programming to be able to meet those needs, fill any gaps. We primarily work with a lot of Spanish speakers because there is no Spanish language small business education. But recently we've expanded, and so now we're doing everything bilingual, and it's been so great,
Yeah.
greatly received. And I see that there's still a big need. So we do education and coaching, lots of coaching, one-on-one, helping people navigate this huge Houston small business ecosystem, which is great. I always say
Yes.
And it's
our
of
small
no
business
cost.
ecosystem is great, and everything we do is at no cost. And the reason that we do it at no cost is because of the funding that we receive, because of the work that we
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
So it's a cycle. It's a full
Yeah.
circle process. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I love that, and I love that you're actually helping because a lot of people that come, they don't speak any English.
Hmm.
They're coming from another country.
Yes.
The way they do business over there is completely different
Right.
here, and then they want to do it right. They want to do it
Exactly.
the legal, and it'll help them also with their immigration
Oh, for
status.
sure. Yeah. They're able to get tax returns and we help them. And so we don't have eligibility requirements currently. It's just 18 and up, a business idea, or be in business already. So, yeah. And so with everything that we do, again, it's a lot of, meeting our clients and then storytelling so that we can show our funders, hey, this is what we're doing. And then we can continue to do the work that we do at no cost. I don't want to put a price tag on it for our community. So just continuing.
So, what do y'all have any small business or women owned grants coming out of Baker Ripley?
So currently, we do have one with Harris County, and this is for those that have been in business for more than 5 years. We received it was my first big grant that I wrote, and
Yes, tell us
I
about
got
that.
it. It was so much. It was
Yes.
just. It's been such a roller coaster
How
of
much was the
emotions. That's
grant?
$2 million
Wow.
with
Wow.
Harris County. I had just started as a director, and so I had a great mentor help and support me. In that process, and I did it in a collaboration with the team of the three of us, and I learned so much. And then for us to be able to actually receive the funding and be approved, it was just so great. And so it was a process.
Hmm.
And now afterwards, it's been a process because we've created a program
Right.
from scratch and with these funds,
Hmm.
and it's been challenging.
Hmm.
But I've learned so much, and so there's a lot that goes
Yeah.
into with these public grants, through the county.
Right.
Yes.
How long did it take you to write it?
So it took us about, I want to say, 2 months for us to
And
write
that's what
through
people
it.
think that it's something
To
quick or
Oh
you use
no,
ChatGPT.
oh no, don't no. ChatGPT is great. I am leaning into AI. I just came from my class. I'm taking a certification. So I'm learning about AI. And yes, of course you want to use it as a like a thought partner, grammar, things like that. But if you're running a program or nonprofit, you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And
Mhm.
so that, yes, of course, use it as a resource, but don't depend on it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with the 2 million grant from the city, do you guys, is there specifications behind it? Like, how do you have to use it? Do you
Yes.
get to use it also, like, as part of payroll for
Yeah.
your employees,
Yeah.
or does it only have to be this,
Excuse me.
dispersed out?
Yeah, so this one was specifically for us to provide a service. And
Mhm.
so as we're writing it, we're saying, okay, how is this going to help and support our community? So yes, it's going to be for people that have been in business more than 5 years in the county, these specification eligibility requirements. And then how can we use it internally? So we have to create a budget, right? And submit that to the
Mhm.
county. And every month we bill the county and they give us the funds, making sure that we're doing what we're doing. So there's auditing processes. There's lots of reporting that we have to do that comes, and that's where the learning curve is, right? Because people say, "Oh, I'm gonna submit this, I'll get the money." Oh no, you have to make sure you're reporting, make
Mm.
sure there's an audit, internal audit, and there's an external audit evaluation process as well. And so, yes, we have that. We had a budget, and then we have an indirect cost. So most nonprofits know that there's an indirect cost when you're applying for these grants,
Mhm.
and that indirect cost, depending on what it is, like on a national level, internal, what the organization or the funder approves up to a certain amount. Some of them are really low percentages
So
of
what do
your
you mean
costs.
by that
I'm
when you
gonna
say
so
yeah?
indirect costs are like your facilities costs, your payroll,
Mhm.
your supplies, all of those extra things,
And that's
IT,
written
Salesforce,
into
and it's
the
written
grant.
into the
And
Okay.
that's
grant.
the other thing. So for a grant that big, is it distributed with years
Yes,
or
that one was it was a few years that we're working
so
on.
then you have to make
Yes,
sure that you're budgeting for the right amount and so
exactly.
you can use it all
And so you
to
can
make
use it
sure
all
you can
because
use it
sometimes
all.
you don't use it all, or sometimes you fall short. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying at the beginning. Budgeting is so important, and including those costs in there is essential because you want to
Mhm.
be able to cover
Yeah.
all of your costs. Yeah.
And so moving from that, once you get the grant money, how how are you allocating what you do with it?
Yeah,
So
so we have to have budget templates that
mhm.
we submit and things like that, and it has to match what we've
So
submitted.
what was the so obviously there's so many businesses, right, that you're going to offer this grant to, but when y'all do that, how do y'all structure the amount that the grant's going to be or how they get that
So
money?
they have to we're just providing coaching right
Mhm.
now. So we're just doing coaching and helping them and supporting them with the coaching part, technical assistance. Then once they're done with our the hours that they do with us, and we've been super creative and trying to meet their needs, getting them one-on-one coaching, group coaching, bringing in subject matter experts to we didn't want to just say, "Oh, I'm going to create this program to
Mhm.
get funding." No, we created this with the intention of really supporting our community and meeting them with what their needs are because they are still in business after COVID. That's a big,
Yeah.
that
Yes.
like I say that's a big win already. And they don't have the time to sit there. And so what we're doing is really giving them good quality programming. Once they finish the hours, then they go back to another provider and they get funds. So we are not giving them direct grant funds.
So it's allocated, but then you don't it
We
doesn't
don't
come to you and
know,
then that
somebody else has got
okay.
that. Yeah, and they're doing that. And like I was mentioning before, all of these opportunities for grants locally, like with the county, with the ISDs, with the commissioners, with the city, they're we have budgets that are public, right? And
Right.
so as nonprofits you can go in and see what type of budget money has been set aside and work with these departments to see if you can get apply for these funds, right?
Got it.
If you have the capacity to be able to take it on, right? Because if you're a one man, a one
Yeah.
person nonprofit, it might be a little challenging. But you can look at these opportunities locally, statewide, and federal as well.
If you get a grant, so let's say I'm a small business, and I apply for a grant with you guys, let's say, and I get awarded the grant. Can I do it again? Is
Well,
there
depending on the
okay,
program. Most programs no. Most
okay.
programs no. I know the one that we're managing at Baker, we know it's just one per household.
A
But
year or
just one time.
one
Yeah,
time,
because
so I
most
can't
of
come
them,
back.
yeah,
Okay.
most of them are one-time programs as well.
Okay, got you.
Hmm.
So, but that's not that's just with you guys, but
Yeah,
that's
there's
not
different
everywhere.
ones. Yeah.
So, because I've seen some where somebody said they can reapply every year.
Yeah, so those are for businesses or nonprofits because remember it's two. So for nonprofits you
I
can
think
renew.
this was a
A
business.
business or for profit. Yeah.
Hmm.
So for profits, there might be. For nonprofits, there are renewal options
Renewal.
and
Okay,
yeah, and options to extend depending on the work you're doing. So if it's a program that's publicly funded, right, they can go and propose, hey, this program's doing great. Look at how many small businesses or look at how many women we've been able to impact. Let's try to get funds and extend this or
Mhm.
renew it and do it again, right? Or for the on the private side, usually it's every year they see how you're doing. If it still aligns with their priorities as a corporation or organization, they'll be like, "Oh, let's do another year, give you more," or it might be
Mhm.
lower it because their budget is.
Mhm.
So that's also an option on the nonprofit side.
So we hear that you're moving into something a little bit different, right? I know you're really excited to talk about it.
Yes.
Tell us a
I
little
love
bit
seeing
about.
how
I know
excited she is about
she
the grants
is.
and
I
and
know.
nonprofit.
So yes, I'm really excited. I've decided to start my own business after many years of refusing to be an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And so I decided to start my own business. And so what I'm doing is creating an agency, a social impact agency. So I also have a certification in social impact strategy from the University of Pennsylvania. After I took that certification, I really saw it was a global certification. And so people from all over the world doing a lot of great work, that's impactful in the communities. So I got really motivated. I was like, you know what? I think we need to continue to work with these type of for-profit and nonprofits. So
Yeah.
it's working with social enterprises or social impacts for-profit businesses and working with nonprofits and doing consulting work and really being that everything that we kind of talked about, helping them develop that, or if they're already sustainable and they have like funds and they don't have a giving back program, let's create it because you have a million you want to give,
Mhm.
but let's create the programming for it and how does that look for you and stuff like that. So
And
yeah.
you did your first one for yourself, right?
So I did a grant this week for myself and for the business. I'm really excited. It took me a long time, even though I've done it before. I was really
You're like, it
nervous.
was easier to write about somebody else than
It
yourself.
is, of course, it's easier to write about like the work that I'm doing than what I'm doing personally, right? And then what I see the vision for the agency. So, but I did it, I submitted it. I'll let y'all know if I
Yeah.
get it.
Yes, she's got it.
And I'm
Excited, yes.
excited.
Well, if you got the other one, that
You never know
million
because
dollar one.
so some of them like this one is for a for-profit business. It's not for nonprofits
Mhm.
and it's
Mm.
for 5K, but it's judged. So it's judges behind it. I don't know who's going to be reading
Oh,
it.
so if they like the
If
business
they like
plan
it, what I'm
and the
saying,
and
yeah.
have you is this one you have to be in business for so long?
Yeah, yeah. You have to be in business for a certain amount of time. Yeah. And so like I just saw one right now. Tory Burch Foundation just opened their fellowship program, which is a really great program. One of my clients went through it. You go to New York, you meet Tory Burch. It's for women entrepreneurs. And so they have to be in business for a certain amount of years, like, and they have to have made 75K a
Oh
year
wow.
or more.
Oh,
And so, it's a more established
Mhm.
business, but you have access to a global
Bigger.
company, their CEO, and funds,
and you have to pay
and a
like
fellowship.
you have to pay a certain amount to be in
No,
there, or
no, no. They cover
just to
everything.
make it.
Yeah, just to
Okay.
make it, you have to make a certain amount of
Yeah.
revenue as a business owner. So there's so many opportunities. The Verizon Small Business Digital one that I had mentioned, it's a 10K one. It's national. You go on their platform and you're able to get have the opportunity to apply for that 10K.
Do you know if a lot of people from Houston area have
Yes,
one?
three of our clients have received that one
Really, from the Verizon one?
from the Verizon
Okay.
Yeah,
one.
I know two of them.
Yeah.
So, do they award it just to one person or several companies?
So what for the Verizon?
Yeah, just
So
for example, some.
we received funding for the Verizon
Okay.
Hub. We're one of the organizations that provides it.
They do more than one organization
Yeah,
they
that they
receive.
fund, and then the organizations has people go to their platform. It's a really good platform. So we believe in the product, so we are signing people
Yeah.
up, and then they have the opportunity to get 10K. And our clients have three of our clients have received the 10,000 because they're on that platform. We're like, you make sure you take classes every month. We're always like, make sure you
So a
take
lot of them
classes.
do that, right? Where you have
Yeah,
to follow through with
yeah,
classes and
yeah, and
stuff.
that's for the
I
for
think
profits.
Xfinity has one
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, Comcast has one as
Yeah.
well. There's so many that you have to go through their
And you
products.
still do have to have like a grant writer or
You still
write for
have
it?
to have preparation still have to have your stuff together, your documents together. Your formation documents for as a for-profit. Your narrative it's as a for-profit. Like what do you do? Why do you do it? How do you do it? Right?
Mhm.
And a budget. Like what are you going to use as 5K or 10K? Because most of them are smaller amounts.
Mhm.
What are you going to use it for? Like how is this
Hmm.
going to help you scale your business or grow your business or sustain your
Yeah.
business? Yeah.
Well, I love that. I mean, that's one of the I think a lot of people don't know that those are out there. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm actually learning right now.
Yes.
Because I've been in my business, so I became a real estate broker about 5 years ago. I don't think I ever have asked for a grant. I don't know if it's because I think I don't need it, but you'll need
You need
everything,
anything. I say if
everything.
it's like a one-page application for $1,000, fill out that
Yeah.
Why
application,
not?
girl.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's for 100K, 5K, fill out that
I
application.
think it's because you have to do it. Like sit down
Exactly.
and
Yeah. And
do
it's
it and take out the
overwhelming.
time.
Mhm.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I got anxious. I was like, oh, I imagine. So as I was writing it, I was talking to the girls in the agency, and I was like, I submitted our grant, and we're super excited. And I was like, oh man, like it gave me anxiety. Imagine people that have no idea how
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
this. I've done this
That would be
before,
Yeah.
me.
so it's overwhelming. And I was like, this is why we need to
I
do what
think
we're gonna do.
I
Yeah.
opened one up and saw the first 3 questions. I
And
was
that's like, what?
no.
Yeah,
But that's why you get a grant writer. You
yeah,
have
Yeah.
somebody
you
to
get
do it
support.
for
I
us.
think people are always interested in finding a grant writer. It's finding a grant
A
writer.
Yeah.
good
They're a
one.
good one because one, you're scared that they may just take your money,
Mm,
or two, you don't know them. You're going off of what they say.
yeah.
You've never heard. I think like I'm so excited because obviously, I know people that know you. You're in the community. You're doing things already. It's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
perfect.
You know, it's
Like God, did you hear my prayer from
you,
10 years ago? No.
you
Yeah.
know what's funny? I wanted a grant writer and I hired one from Fiverr,
Yeah, yeah, I've heard of that.
but
Like,
it wasn't that great.
no,
But
yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
See,
That's
that's
what
what
a
I'm
lot of people
saying.
fall
And a lot
into.
of people that write also can do grant writing, but you have to understand. So our grant, like our Baker Ripley grant writers, or like the other organization that I was at previously, they would sit there and learn about our program and call me, and we would do things together and we would
Yeah.
write it together. And she would be like, does this sound right? I was like, no, that's not our program. This is not,
Yeah.
let me send you how I would write it. And so it's really a collaboration. So if I were to, go work with somebody, I'm not going to just write based on what they have on their website. Like I'm sitting there with you. I'm at the board meetings. I'm listening to what you're doing. Who are you like? Who is it that you're working with in the community, your clients or, your target audience? And so that's really important. You can't just write,
And I
and
love
it's
that.
not just writing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that because I think that's what my Fiverr person did. And I'm not trying to bash them,
No, but
but
yeah.
I received it and I'm like, I could have done this.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
I understand
storytelling
that.
is
Yeah,
important
yeah.
too,
And
Yeah.
that's
And
great.
having that passion behind it, I think
for
is
sure.
is so we have a couple of quick questions that are like myth type of thing.
Okay.
So you're gonna tell me, is it answer the questions like with as quick as you think you could. What's the worst advice nonprofits keep recycling?
The worst advice that nonprofits keep recycling, that they can't pay themselves. Like
It's
but
true.
I heard that you can't pay yourself as an, yes, you can pay
Yes.
yourself. Like pay yourself.
I
It
guess
takes time.
it's getting the funding,
Yeah, it
right?
takes time, and you might not. It takes time, but you can pay yourself.
Yeah.
And as a grant writer, you get the commission too,
You
right?
well, it, yes, it depends.
Depends.
It depends
Okay.
on how you're
How
doing
you
it.
structure
Yeah,
your
it depends
business.
on if it's a small nonprofit or if you have like a person on staff
Got
as
it.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on what
So
you're doing.
basically for us is I think with that is we just talked about before you came on
Mhm.
our other podcast was all the time behind it, like not getting paid and it's all volunteer and like the goal is to work for your nonprofit full time
Yeah.
and to be on the
Yes, for
payroll. Like,
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you're keeping the money and not giving money out, but
Yeah.
you definitely should get paid for your time at some point.
And I want to say that being in the nonprofit world, I think that it bothers me whenever they're like, why does the executive director make 150K?
Mhm.
Or why do they what do you mean? Like they're running a whole organization. Just because it's a nonprofit
Right.
doesn't mean
They're not working.
they're not working, or that they're not worth the salary that they're doing, like that they're receiving because of the work that their organization is doing.
Yeah.
Now if you're only getting
5 million.
if you're only getting 150K a year in funding and you get paid 100K,
Yeah,
okay,
that makes
I
sense.
get it. I get where
Yeah.
y'all coming from.
Yeah.
But if it's a large organization, look at it. If it was at a corporation,
Yeah, because
you
it's
wouldn't say
based
that.
it's based off percentages
Of
and stuff like
course,
that.
yeah.
We know. I mean, you have to be, but some obviously it's because they've put a bad name on nonprofits and people
Exactly.
Yeah,
question.
some people like in
Yeah.
the news and stuff
Yeah.
like that, you're like, oh, is that what they're doing with all
Or
the
you
money?
have a very well oiled running corporation and now you create the nonprofit and
Yeah.
you do
You don't need to
listen.
get that salary.
Yeah.
You already
Yeah.
Yes.
know.
Exactly.
So next question. Red flag in a nonprofit pitch.
A red flag in a nonprofit pitch. Your budget, maybe I would say.
It
Or
doesn't make sense.
no data. no data.
No data.
Like if you
No
come at
data.
me and I'm gonna do this and I'm doing these great things and this is how it's gonna, what I'm doing in the community, and I'm like, well, what are your outcomes and what are your outputs? And people get like, what is an outcome? What is an output?
Mhm.
Yeah, well, what is it the impact that you're actually having?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the most slept on funding opportunity out there.
Oh my goodness. Maybe it's hard. So there is local money in budgets. Like I've said it 3 times, right?
Yeah.
There is money sitting there. And so I think that that is one. Federal, local, that's one. People are afraid to touch those, and they are lengthy applications, and it's stressful, and it is a process, and there's a lot of auditing and all of that. But that one, and then individuals, you don't know who's out there that's willing to give.
Hmm.
Go
True.
out there and create relationships. There
Right.
could be somebody that is sitting, in the room with you that is willing to give, 1,000 to 10,000, and that can go a long way. And you get a lot of those, and
Yep.
you can have 100K right it there.
So this one you're going to finish the line, the sentence. If funders want real change, they need to.
If funders want real change, they need to give us the money.
Love that.
Give us the money. You
Amen.
want change? Give us the money.
So to end this episode, tell us what you've got coming up.
Okay, so I'm excited. So I'm launching our social impact agency. We're working on the name. So I have that, and so I'm really excited to do that. Still doing the work with Baker. It's very dear to my heart with working with our entrepreneurs, and then cooking up something exciting.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
hopefully we get to work together.
Yeah,
And she's
gonna
going to be
definitely
working with us.
Yes, I
Yes.
love
And
that.
Yes.
we'll see you a lot more.
Yes.
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 So thank you for coming on
No,
Her
thank you so much.
Opinion.
Thank
Yes.
you.
It's all
Love
about the
it.
opinion over here.
I
I'm gonna have to listen to this again because I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I have some little links and stuff, so y'all reach out to
Yeah.
me and I can
So
send y'all
for
some
sure.
links for
yeah, I
things.
think I think you're gonna have a lot of training going on.
I know, right?
I know.
Don't worry, I'm working on my workshops,
Yeah.
so I'm
That's
definitely
And
gonna
if you
have
amazing.
that
if you
ready.
wanna know how to get a hold of Nini, you can definitely reach out, DM us. But also,
Yes.
how can they find you?
That you can follow me at Nini Corazon. That's my Instagram for now. And then my website, I do have it. It's ninigutierrez.net/strategist. I know it's a handful, a mouthful, but yeah,
Hey.
ninigutierrez.net/strategist.
Awesome. Well,
Awesome.
thanks again for being here.
Yes.
And let's do a cheers.
Yeah.
And bye,
Salud.
everyone. We'll see you next time.
All right, salud.
Salud.